All right, fig lovers, this is Ross the Fig Boss. Today's video, I'm going to talk about a common question I've been getting a lot lately, which revolves around fig trees not growing in the spring. Or in other terms, your fig tree is just not waking up. Maybe it's dead, maybe it's taken some winter damage, or maybe it's just delayed in its wake up process. I've been getting people asking me, hey Ross, when is my fig tree just going to wake up and start growing? So we're going to answer all those questions in today's video. I think first and foremost, the time in which your fig tree will wake up and start growing in the spring revolves around actually the temperature. The soil temperature is the main driver of a fig tree's and most plants' metabolism. So I know a lot of people think maybe the sunlight or light in general helps them wake up. It's not the truth. It's really the soil temperature, the sunlight hitting the soil, warming it up. So if you can warm up the soil, maybe potentially put your fig trees in a warmer place, they're going to start waking up sooner. That's lesson number one. But you know, even though if you have all the heat, in fact, here in the Philadelphia area, it's been rather warm. We've had a really nice start to the season. The garden is looking incredible. All the heat-loving crops are in the ground. I even planted beans and squash, which is unheard of for the end of April. Usually you have to wait till the middle of May to get away with that. I planted them even like a week or two ago, depending on what it was. So we've had the heat. It's not like we haven't had the temperatures to do something like that, and the fig trees really should be awake given that heat. But generally, the more we shorten our branches, whether that's through pruning shears, winter damage, or rodent damage, whatever it is, if we shorten these branches back, they're going to delay that wake up or that process of accelerating that growth. So some of you guys may have a tree, like I do, where this tree right here, Jouale Rouge, it's a new variety to me, has taken a lot of winter damage this year. In fact, even though it was in a pot, we had a lot of troubles in this garage this winter, and you can see the winter damage is quite apparent. You can do the scratch test here, but really the best test, I think, is if you can bend the branch and it breaks like this because it's totally desiccated, it's dead. And so this is just another way of shortening the branches. And so I'm not really sure exactly how far down the damage goes. It might go down pretty significant along here, and so it's going to take a little bit longer to wake up. Here's a tree right here I actually purposely pruned back quite hard. This is Sarda, one of my favorites, and you can see I really hacked it back. Every branch I brought back because I wanted to propagate this as much as I could. And you can see that it's leafing out, but it's much further behind other trees like this one. Look how much further along the growth is. Obviously, there are leaves. In this situation, there's actually, 3 or 4 leaves on the apical buds. So we have 0 leaves in the case of really pruning them back, versus 3 or 4 leaves by leaving the apical buds. So this is what creates the difference, I find. And I've always preached to you guys about this. When you have fig trees in colder climates and shorter season climates, shortening the branches back when we do the pruning in the fall is just not something you want to do, because it's going to delay that ripening. In fact, not only are you going to prune away potentially some brevas, the first crop of figs, but the second crop, the main crop, is going to be delayed by at least 2 weeks by removing much of that growth higher up on the tree. Then the further down you go, it gets progressively worse. Maybe instead of 2 weeks, it becomes a whole month. Then you go even further down in the situation like this Jouale Rouge tree that we looked at. This may be delayed by a whole 2 months. These are all really young trees. They looked beautiful last year until my rodents in the garage destroyed them all. And you can see they just chopped them down to bits. This one here was eating up all the bark all around the outside. And so we're patiently waiting for something to spring some growth. This one actually right down here looks like it's going to be okay. I see a little bit of green bud right there above my finger. that looks like it wants to pop out. In other situations, there's nothing above the soil that's alive. Like this one here, I actually have nothing really above the soil, but look, below the soil is a nice sucker that decided to come up. So that's really fortunate that this one now is going to be alive. Here's some of the in-ground trees that I had on this property that we planted last season. So they're very young, and I did not protect. I protected some of them, but not most of them, and they got hacked back by the cold really bad. So I've already pruned them back. Anything that was dead, just decided to prune it back. We did protect the base on these, so it's not like they're going to be dead. We also buried some nodes underneath the soil line, usually about 4 to 6 inches of the stem of the trunk of your fig tree should be buried underneath the soil. And this is why, so it can always come back from the roots or below the soil. This was probably 8 feet tall last year at the end of the year, and this main branch got killed all the way down to the soil. So this has to resprout, and actually it's doing pretty good considering that much winter damage. You may have a tree that's underneath, that has some growth from underneath the soil. It's starting that process of sending up growth from below the soil. You can't see it, but it's doing it, and that may take months. In fact, I've had a few trees that didn't really sprout up from below the soil until about July. That's like 2 months after my last frost here in the Philadelphia area. So I wouldn't fret just yet. You know, it's probably not dead. That's the other thing. Some of you guys think, oh, my fig tree is dead because it's not doing anything. I need to replace it. Just leave it alone. Give it some time, you know, give it at least 2 months after your last frost date. If it doesn't do anything by then, well, then you know you have to replace it. And I know it's a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is with these trees sometimes. We're growing them in places we probably really shouldn't. It's not that we can't, we just have to be really smart about it. So thank you guys here for watching this. Please do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We'll see you for the next video. Take care, guys.